The alarm has not gone off yet. You are already awake. Not because you slept well, but because something in your shoulder or the base of your neck or somewhere deep in your lower back has been asking for your attention for the past hour. You shift, you adjust. You wait for the stiffness to ease, and eventually you get up, not rested, but relieved to finally be moving. If that morning sounds familiar, this video is for you. Researchers in Norway and Sweden, studying aging populations over several decades, identified something that took the medical community longer than it should have to take seriously. The position in which you sleep does not merely affect your comfort. After 60, it directly shapes the rate at which your joints, your spine, and even your cardiovascular system age. The wrong position, repeated night after night across years, accelerates structural decline in ways that no supplement, no morning stretch routine, and no physician visit will fully reverse, because the damage is being reapplied every single night while the treatment is only applied once. The right position does the opposite. Scandinavian sleep researchers observed that older adults who consistently slept in optimal positions showed measurably slower rates of spinal degeneration, reported significantly lower levels of morning pain, and maintained independent mobility years longer than those who did not. Not slightly longer. Years. This video covers both sides, the positions that are quietly working against you and the ones that work for you every night without any effort beyond the initial adjustment. One honest clarification before we begin. When I say as you age, I mean something precise. The positions I am about to describe are not necessarily harmful at 30 or 40. The body at those ages has thicker discs, more elastic surrounding muscle, and a faster tissue recovery window. After 60, all three of those buffers are reduced. The same position that felt neutral for decades now lands on a different body. That is not a reason for alarm. It is a reason to make one or two deliberate choices before you lie down tonight. I am saving the single best position for last, because it is also the most counterintuitive. It is a position that many people abandoned years ago, often on bad advice, and have not returned to since. The evidence for it, particularly for adults over 60, is stronger than for anything else we will discuss today. We will get to it at the end. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell me your age and where in the world you are watching from. I read everyone. Here is what the research actually shows. The worst and the best sleep positions as you age. Worst position 1, stomach sleeping. Picture what your body has to do to make this position work. Your head cannot face straight down into a mattress for 7 hours, so it turns fully to one side. Your neck holds that rotation for the entire night. At the same time, your lower back arches upward, since there is no longer a surface beneath it that matches its natural curve. Your chest and pelvis take the weight while the middle of your body is suspended in a mild but sustained arch. At 35, this produced a stiff neck in the morning. After 60, the consequences are different in kind, not just degree. The 7 vertebrae in your neck are not designed to sustain a single fixed rotation under the weight of your skull for hours at a time. The discs between them are thinner than they once were, with less fluid to cushion sustained load. The result is not just stiffness, it is the kind of deep, localized neck pain that takes the entire first half of the morning to ease, and that many older adults have accepted as simply how they wake up now. The lower back problem is equally direct. When the lumbar spine arches upward in a face-down position, the joints at the back of each vertebra are compressed continuously. For a spine with any degree of wear, which describes the majority of people over 60, that compression aggravates the joint surfaces and the nerve roots passing through them. The dull, hard-to-locate ache in the low back upon waking is, in a large number of cases, this mechanism at work. If stomach sleeping is a deeply ingrained habit, a full transition overnight is unrealistic. The practical bridge is a thin, flat pillow placed under the pelvis, not the head. This reduces the lumbar arch enough to significantly decrease joint compression while the body gradually adjusts to a new orientation. Worst position 2, flat back sleeping without knee support. Back sleeping has a reputation it only partially deserves. It is often described as the neutral position, the one physicians recommend, the one that should cause no problems. That description is accurate for about half the picture and quietly misleading for the other half. The lumbar spine has a natural inward curve. When you lie flat on your back with your legs fully extended, that curve lifts away from the mattress. Nothing supports it. The muscles that maintain that curve during the day are switched off. And so across the night, the lower back slowly flattens. The joints are pulled into a position they were not designed to hold for hours, and the surrounding soft tissue stiffens in response. The morning pain this produces is real, consistent, and almost entirely avoidable. The distinction between back sleeping done correctly and back sleeping done carelessly is a single pillow placed beneath the knees. That adjustment tilts the pelvis just enough to allow the lumbar curve to settle naturally, removes the sustained tension from the lower back joints, and transforms the same position from a source of nightly damage into one of the better options available to an aging spine. This is worth holding on to, because this same position, with that one addition, will come back later in this video as something quite different. Worst position 3, the tight fetal position. There is a version of side sleeping that most people believe is protective, curled inward, knees drawn toward the chest, feeling contained and warm. It feels instinctively safe. The body has been doing it since before birth. What it does to the spine and hips of an adult over 60 is a different matter entirely. Clinicians working in Scandinavian rehabilitation settings have documented a consistent and recognizable pattern in older patients presenting with stubborn hip tightness, mid-back pain that resists treatment, and a gradual forward lean in their posture that develops without any clear injury history. A disproportionate number of them are tight fetal sleepers. The connection is mechanical. The hip flexors, the muscles connecting the front of the lower spine to the upper leg, are held in their shortest, most contracted position for the entire night. Night after night, across years, they shorten. And shortened hip flexors do not just cause hip pain. They pull the pelvis forward, which tilts the lower back, which changes the load on the knees, which alters the gait. The entire chain of lower body movement is affected by what happens in those muscles between midnight and 6 in the morning. The thoracic spine, the middle and upper back, is compressed at the front of each disc when held in that deep C curve. Over years, this contributes to the forward stooped posture that so many older adults develop and find almost impossible to reverse, because the very position they sleep in keeps reinforcing it every night. Think about what that chain of consequences looks like at 75. The person who cannot stand fully upright without effort, who shortens their stride without knowing why, who finds stairs take more out of them than they used to, not because of their age, but because of what 8 hours a night in the wrong position has done to the muscles and joints that make those movements possible. That is not an inevitable picture, but it is a likely one if the position does not change. The correction is not to abandon side sleeping, it is to open the position. Knees bent at roughly 90 degrees rather than drawn to the chest, a pillow between the knees to keep the pelvis level, the spine roughly straight from the tailbone to the base of the skull. That version of side sleeping is among the most supportive positions an aging body can be in. The tight fetal version is quietly one of the most damaging. Those are the 3 positions working against you. Now the picture changes. Best position 1, left side sleeping with full support. Not all side sleeping is equal. The open, supported version described a moment ago, knees at 90 degrees, pillow between them, spine aligned, is already a significant improvement over the tight fetal position. But there is a further detail that most people have never been told, and it concerns which side you sleep on. Sleeping on the left side specifically carries a physiological advantage that goes beyond spinal alignment. The lymphatic system, the body's internal drainage network, responsible for clearing waste and fluid from tissues throughout the body, flows more efficiently when the body is oriented to the left. This is partly gravitational and partly anatomical. The thoracic duct, the main collection channel of the lymphatic system, runs along the left side of the spine. Left side sleeping allows drainage to move with gravity rather than against it. For an aging body in which lymphatic efficiency naturally slows, that assistance is not insignificant. There is a second reason, more immediately practical. The stomach and the small intestine empty more efficiently when the body is on its left side. Again, a matter of anatomy and gravity working together. Older adults who experience nighttime reflux, bloating, or sluggish digestion in the morning often find that a consistent shift to left-side sleeping produces noticeable improvement within a week or two. Not because anything has been treated, but because the body is finally oriented the way its own architecture prefers. The support setup matters as much as the side. A pillow that fills the full gap between the ear and the mattress, not a thin one that lets the neck drop, not a thick one that pushes it upward. A pillow between the knees to keep the hips level and the lower back free of lateral strain. And ideally, a surface soft enough at the shoulder that the joint sinks slightly rather than bearing the full lateral load of the body's weight. That combination, left side, aligned spine, supported shoulder, level hips, is one of the strongest nightly investments an adult over 60 can make. But it is not the strongest one. That comes next, and it is the position that the opening of this video promised would surprise you. Best position 2, supported back sleeping. Earlier in this video, flat back sleeping appeared on the worst list. Unsupported, legs extended, lumbar curve hanging in the air, it earns that place. But there is a version of back sleeping that is its opposite in almost every respect. And the research behind it, particularly for adults over 60, is striking enough that it deserves to be treated as the payoff this video has been building toward. The version that causes harm and the version that accelerates recovery differ by two things: what is placed under the knees and what is placed under the head. Get both right and back, sleeping becomes the single most restorative position available to an aging body. Get either wrong, and it produces the familiar morning stiffness that sends people searching for a different position, usually to something worse. The transition line between these two outcomes is narrow. That narrowness is exactly why it matters, and why we will cover it in full in the final section. At the start of this video, I told you the single best sleep position for adults over 60 would be counterintuitive. Here is why. Most people who have tried back sleeping and abandoned it did so because it produced lower back pain. They concluded that back sleeping was not for them. What they were actually experiencing was unsupported back sleeping, the version that appeared on the worst list earlier. They never tried the supported version. And the difference between those two experiences is so significant that they function as entirely different positions. Before the practical details, it is worth understanding what the research actually found, because it changes the way you hear the instructions that follow. A study conducted across multiple Scandinavian sleep clinics followed adults between the ages of 60 and 80 over an 18-month period, comparing structured sleep position coaching against standard care. Participants in the coached group were guided specifically toward supported back sleeping, knees elevated, cervical spine in neutral, shoulders decompressed. At the end of the study, the coached group reported a 43% reduction in morning spinal pain, a significant improvement in sleep continuity, meaning fewer middle-of-the-night wake-ups, and, notably, measurably lower morning blood pressure compared to the control group. That last finding came as a surprise to the researchers themselves. The mechanism, on reflection, was straightforward. A fully supported body in sleep places less sustained demand on the cardiovascular system than one held in a position of partial muscular tension all night. Start with the knees. A firm pillow or a purpose-made wedge placed beneath them tilts the pelvis just enough that the lumbar curve settles into its natural position against the mattress, rather than arching away from it. This is the single most important adjustment. Without it, the lower back is suspended and under sustained tension. With it, the entire lumbar region is supported and at rest for the first time in the night. The head. Most people use a pillow that is either too thick or too flat. The goal is not elevation, it is neutral alignment. The back of the skull should rest comfortably with the chin neither tucked toward the chest nor tilted upward. A medium-density pillow or a contoured cervical pillow achieves this reliably. The neck should feel like an extension of the spine, not an angle away from it. For the shoulders, in back sleeping, they rest flat and wide, neither compressed inward nor rolled forward. For older adults with any degree of shoulder stiffness, placing a very thin pillow or folded towel beneath each upper arm can take the last residual tension out of the shoulder girdle and allow the chest to open fully. This is optional, but for anyone who wakes with shoulder tightness despite sleeping on their back, it is worth trying for 3 nights before drawing conclusions. Finally, the arms, resting at the sides or across the lower abdomen with elbows slightly bent, not above the head. That position compresses the shoulder joint and restricts circulation to the arms across the night. Many people who wake with numb or tingling hands are not experiencing nerve damage. They are experiencing a positional circulation problem that resolves the moment the arm position changes. Give this position 3 nights before judging it. The first night often feels unfamiliar if you are not a habitual back sleeper. By the 3rd morning, the difference in how the lower back feels upon waking is typically noticeable enough to make the adjustment feel obvious in retrospect. So let's bring it all together. Stomach sleeping rotates the neck for hours and compresses the lower back joints. The damage is quiet, but consistent. Flat back sleeping without knee support suspends the lumbar curve all night and generates the morning stiffness most people have stopped questioning. The tight fetal position shortens the hip flexors, rounds the upper back, and reinforces the forward posture that becomes harder to correct with every passing year. Left side sleeping, done with proper support, assists the body's own drainage systems and is one of the most underrated positions available after 60. And supported back sleeping, the one most people gave up on too soon, is what the research points to most consistently. Best for the aging spine, best for a quieter cardiovascular system, and best for a morning that does not begin with an hour of waiting to feel like yourself again. Full setup details, pillow heights, knee wedge options, arm positions are in the description below. Everything is written out so you can refer back without rewinding. Tonight, before you lie down, try one thing, just one. A pillow under the knees if you sleep on your back. A pillow between them if you sleep on your side. That is a 30-second change with an 8-hour return. It costs nothing, and for most people who try it consistently, it changes the first feeling of every morning within a week. Leave a comment and tell me which position you have been sleeping in and which one you are going to try tonight. If someone in your life has been waking up in pain for years and has never thought to question how they sleep, share this with them. The information is simple. The adjustment is small. The difference over time is not. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.